Okay guys, here we go. Multiplying fractions review. Now, the worksheet that accompanies this video is all mixed numbers, multiplying mixed numbers, because that's the hardest part that will be on your midterm exam. But I want to quickly review, just by altering this first question, the basics of multiplying fractions. And this is what I mean. The basics would be multiplying fractions that don't have the whole number in front, basically multiplying regular fractions, not mixed numbers. Okay, so I'm just going to alter this problem and take these out. This is the basics of multiplying fractions that we have practiced again and again and again in a class. Okay, as I introduced you to fractions when multiplying, and this of course came after adding and subtracting fractions. So basically when we're multiplying fractions, this is a whole lot easier than adding and subtracting fractions, simply because you don't have to find a common denominator. You simply can just multiply straight across. Multiply your numerators and then multiply your denominators. So here I go. 4 times 1 is 4. 5 times 2 is 10. However, you've got to make sure that each answer is reduced as low as possible. You can tell that this is going to reduce to 2. 2 goes into 2 times. 2 goes into 10 5 times to 2/5. Okay? However, the method I use in class is that I like to diagonally reduce first. Remember that? Let me show you. And the reason why I use the diagonally reduce first method in class is because as fractions get larger, or actually bigger digits, I'll say, not necessarily a larger fraction, you can actually multiply. Your multiplying might get a little complicated. So to me, if you reduce diagonally first, it minimizes the chance of you missing a reduction that you have to do. So diagonally first means you highlight diagonally the numbers that you need to look to see if they will reduce. Let's start with my 4 and a 2. Remember, if you're like me and don't know your facts too well, you can always use a multiplication chart. So the numbers I'm looking for are a 4 and a 2. I'm going to write it over here. Notice I flipped it just because I made it look better instead of doing a 4 and a 2 like this. Doesn't matter. When I'm looking for my 4 and a 2 on the chart. So I'm looking for the first column that has, the first row that has a 2 and a 4 in it. Remember, you never look at the first column. You always look at the column starting with 2. So remember, you're looking for the first row, not column, I said it again. You're looking for the first row that has a 2 and a 4 in it. Here's a 2, look at that, and a 4. See that? My 2 changes to a 1, my 4 changes to a 2. So basically what I did was this. My 2 changes to a 1, my 4 changes to a 2. And if you notice, yes, 2/4 reduces to 1/2. Okay? So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to change my 4 into a 2, my 2 into a 1. So it looks just like this. My 2 into a 1, my 4 into a 2. See that? And I made the numbers match. Now I can look on the column for a 1 and a 5. Okay? If you're to do that, you're doing the same thing. If you don't know your facts, you're looking for a 1 and a 5. Remember, don't use the first row. Okay? I'm looking for a 1 and a 5. Get this. Anything that has 1 in it, check it out. You don't have any ones around this block, do you? So you can pretty much know that this is reduced as low as it will possibly go. So I'll leave it alone. And now all I have to do is multiply straight across. 2/5. 2 times 1 is 2. 5 times 1 is 5. You see how I use the method of reducing diagonally first in order to get an answer that's automatically reduced as low as it can go. This helps a lot, again, when you have to reduce 1, 2, or 3 times to get your final answer. This is the reason why I use the reducing diagonally method first. So for all my multiplication problems, I will use the reduce diagonally first instead of multiplying straight across first, then reduce. Remember, I like to reduce first. Okay? So what I showed you was a basic example of how to multiply fractions that are not mixed numbers. Okay? So what happens when you do have mixed numbers, such as our original problem? This is a worksheet that's attached to this video. When we do this, we have to change our mixed numbers into improper fractions. A few videos ago, I was showing you a practice on how to change mixed numbers into improper fractions. So if you're unaware of that, please make sure you go back and visit it. Okay, So to do this, we need to change the mixed number to an improper fraction before multiplying and dividing. The way we do that is multiply the whole number times the denominator. 3 times 5 is 15. Add the numerator. 15 plus 4 is 19. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. You know me, I had to check by using my fingers, right? So my numerator is 19, keeping the same bottom number. Let's do the same thing with the second mixed number. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Keeping the same bottom number, okay? Now again, I like that diagonally reduce method first before multiplying straight across. So the first numbers I'm going to look for my multiplication chart are 2 and a 19. See if I can find those in the same row. Remember, I'm looking for a 2 and a 19. Remember, don't use the first row. Here's a 2, but no 19, so I can't use that row. And if you notice, there are no other 2's around in this block. So this tells you that 2 and 19 are already reduced as low as they can possibly go. So I will not be changing these numbers. How about a 5 and a 9? Oops. Let's do it this way. Now I'm looking for a 5 and a 9. Remember, skipping the first row. There's no 5 in this one, so it's not there. No 5 in this one, not there. No 5 in this one, not there. There's a 5, but no 9, so it's not there. And if you notice in this block, there are no other 5s, so guess what? This fraction is going to be reduced as low as possible too. Looking at it diagonally, this is going to be reduced as low as possible. So all I have to do now is multiply straight across. My 19 times 9, you can use your chart for that too. When you do, you'll get 171. My 5 times 2 is 10. But can we leave it like this? No, Mrs. Hart, we can't leave it like this. It's top heavy. That's right, it's improper. So you must divide it until you get a mixed number. This is what I mean. It goes back to this. You cannot leave final answers as improper. So 10 will go into 171, okay? And I'm going to do a speedy version of the division. If you are still unsure about division, you need to go back and view the Hart Academy video on long division and making remainders as fractions, okay? If I do all the division of this, I will realize that this is 17. Making my final answer, which I'll put right here, 17 and 1/10. Again, I use a speedy method of division because I've done it so many times over the past 5 videos that you need to go back, especially the video that says long division and making remainders as fractions, okay? So I'm going to go back to number 2. So number 2, remember we have to change these into improper fractions first. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So I have 9 over 4. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 3 is 17. 18. I think I just heard somebody say, no, it's 18, Mrs. Hart. You're right. Now let's multiply. And remember, I like to diagonally reduce first, so I'm going to do that method. I'm going to look this way, and then I'm going to look this way. I already know that 9 and 5 can, let me try that again. 9 and 5 can't be reduced any farther than it is, because we actually saw that in the first problem. Not sure about 4 and 18, so let's go and take a look at our multiplication chart. Remember, looking for a 4 and an 18 in the same row. Do not use the first row. Starting with the second row. I got a 4. Ooh, and I got an 18. 2 over 9. So this, 2 over 9. Your 4 becomes a 2. Your 18 becomes a 9. So let's do that. There we go. My 4 is going to become a 2. My 18 is going to become a 9. Now I can multiply straight across. 9 times 9, 81. 2 times 5 is 10. It's improper, so I have to change it to a mixed number by doing division. Again, in the interest of time, I'm going to speedy divide because by now you should know how to do this. You know this is going to go 8 times. You have 1 left over. Your final answer then should be 8 1/10. Again, if you're not getting the division part, go back and review the Heart Academy Long Division with Fraction as Remainders video. I think I have time to do one more, and I'm going to call it a day on the multiplication review. You have a full page that you can mess around with to see if you come up with the same answer as I do. And remember, I also attached the answer key to each worksheet. So number 3, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. That was supposed to be a plus sign, but you get it. 5 over 2. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21 over 5. I'm going to reduce diagonally first. Okay. And I'm going to look to see if I have a 2 and a 21 in the same row. Clear all these out. Remember, looking for a 2 and a 21. Don't use the first row. I have a 2, but no 21. I don't even have a 2 anymore either. Look around the block. Oh my goodness. So this is telling us 2 and 21 are reduced as low as they possibly are already. So what about a 5 and a 5? And if you're very familiar with this, any number that will go into itself one time. So anytime the numbers match, you can change them into a 1. Now multiply straight across. 1 times 21 is 21. 2 times 2 is 2. But remember, we cannot leave it top heavy. You finish all this, you would have 10, 1 left over, remainder of 2. So 10 and a half left over for that one. Okay. Let's see. I think I might actually be able to do one more. Number 4. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So I have 10 over 3. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7 over 2. Reducing diagonally, going this way, and going this way. Now, I already know that these are not going to reduce, but these will. And if you look in your chart, you will notice that 2, 10, now looking at the first row, I have a 2, and I have a 10. It's right here. So my answer changed to 1/5. Okay? So I'm going to take that 1/5. 1/5. Now multiplying straight across, I have 35 over 6. Whoops, excuse me, 3 times 1. 35 over 3. Can't leave it top heavy. You know the deal. With a division, you do that, you're going to have 11 2/3 left over as your final answer to number 4. All right, so I think that's enough practice with multiplying fractions. You can do the sheet on your own. Please don't forget, you can always rewind. And if you go back into the Heart Academies to like a month ago, there's even more practice with multiplying fractions because remember, this is not the first time we've seen it in class. All right, our last section for fractions will be dividing. So I'll see you on the next one.